Hello and welcome to the Park Life Podcast. My name is Mike. I'm a travel agent that specializes in all things Disney. You can find me here on the Park Life Podcast channel on YouTube and on Spotify. We drop podcast every Monday morning at about 5 a.m. Eastern. You can also find me on the Park Life Podcast YouTube channel live on Tuesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where we engage in a lot of fun and dialogue, answer questions, and play some trivia games. This is episode 51 of the Park Life Podcast, and today I'm going to talk about preparing for a Disney trip, but specifically training for a Disney trip. That may sound odd because if you're like me, when I go on vacation, regardless of where it is, I'm typically not thinking about training. If we're going to go to the lake for a weekend, or if we're going to go to see the sights in New York City, or whatever it may be, we don't ever think about training for a trip. And I'm telling you, Disney World is definitely one that you want to consider doing some physical training before you go. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I don't pretend to be one, but if you have any questionable health issues whatsoever, always consult your physician before you begin any type of physical training. But let's say we've done that. So we're going to dive into the things that we need to do. And I'm going to cover a couple of different topics. First will be the physical training. You're going to walk a lot at Disney, at least 10,000 steps, and that's on a slow day. You can probably plan closer to 15 to 20,000 steps in a park day at Disney World. And it isn't straight walking. You're going to walk for a while, and then you're going to stand in a line for a ride, take a couple steps forward and stand, and take a couple steps forward and stand, and repeat that process throughout your day. Your legs will hurt, your lower back will hurt, your feet will hurt, you'll find blisters forming, all of those things. And that's why I want you to train before you ever go. So, at least 30 days prior to your trip, I would say closer to 6 weeks before, you need to start walking. And this is what I always try to do for myself. Week number one of training, 3 days a week of walking, at least 1 hour each day. So, about 1 to maybe 2 miles of total walking. Week number two, we're going to bump it up to 4 days of walking for an hour and a half. So now you're doing 2 to 3 miles each time you're out for those 4 times in week number two. Week number three, we're going to go up to 5 days of walking for 2 hours. And now you should hopefully be covering 3 to maybe 4 miles in that time. You can see it's a progression. In week number four, we're still going to go 5 days a week. You want to have a couple of rest days built in there. You're going to go 2 to 2 and a quarter or 2.5 hours, I should say, and your goal is 4 to 5 miles of walking. That will do a lot for your preparations. Now, the week before you go, you don't want to kill yourself with walking too much and being exhausted the day you arrive. So we back down to about 4 days, maybe 3 days, for 1 hour of walking, doing 1 to 2 miles. This is kind of ramp down. If you've done any type of physical conditioning at the end of your workout, you typically do a cool down period. You can consider this your cool down period. If you want to do this for over 6 to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, by all means, you can do that and you can modify the number of days and how long you walk. Listen to your body. Do not overdo it. Just because you're getting your work in physically to prepare for a Disney trip does not mean you need to overdo it and injure yourself. If your body says you're tired, if your legs say they hurt, back off. There's another day to prepare. Your goal is to gradually build up your strength and endurance. Not to do it all on the first day, but to build it up. It is good to exercise your back and your core as well as your legs. I mentioned that earlier that your legs are going to hurt, your back is going to hurt, and it's true. And I think for me, less than the walking part of it, it's the standing still part that makes my back hurt. So I try to do some exercises that will help my core and my back get engaged a little bit and to be conditioned to be worked on, if you will. Your exercise goals should be above 10,000 to 12,000 steps per day on those last 2 weeks. And again, if you can get to 15,000 steps, I think that's probably an ideal number. You will walk a lot. For comparison's sake, the lagoon in the World Showcase at Epcot is about a 1.5 mile walk all the way around that just one time. So start doing the math and you can figure out that you'll walk quite a bit. And a lot of our vacations, I remember one vividly. I was there for 7 days. It was just myself and my wife, no kids in that trip. 7 days, we walked 84.5 miles. So 12 miles a day is what we were doing. It's pretty crazy. And I always love to say this: one Disney mile does not equal 1 mile of walking in your neighborhood. Not exactly sure why that is. Well, I know part of it is because it's just hotter and more humid in Florida. Part of it, again, is the walking and then the stopping, and then the walking, and then the stopping, and a lot of standing still. I think that's something for me personally I don't do a lot of in my normal day life. I sit at a desk, work all day, and then I get up and walk somewhere and sit back down and repeat that process. I'm not doing walking, standing, walking, standing. So that goes back to engaging your core during your strength training or conditioning to make sure that you're ready for that activity. But again, one Disney mile is not anywhere close to one neighborhood mile. You should try to train like you're in the parks during that 6 week or 8 or 10 week period. What I mean by that is, for me personally, I have backpack or a cinch bag or something on my shoulder every day at the Disney parks, and it's got stuff in it. And while that bag probably doesn't weigh more than 3 or 4 pounds total, it's the rubbing on the shoulder that I'm not used to. It is the 3 or 4 or 5 pounds on your back that you're not used to. So if you can, maybe not for the full 6 to 8 weeks, but at least a week or two of that, put that bag on your back or cinch bag. And I would tell you, build up the weight. Don't put 5 pounds in it day one and get going. Add a few things the next day, add a few things, and continue that build up. And if you can, build up to even more weight than what you'd be carrying normally at the Disney parks. Try to schedule a rest day in your conditioning first off and foremost. And obviously, you'll be able to do that if you're only doing 3, 4, or 5 days of conditioning, so you can balance it out. When you're on your Disney trip, if you have the ability, the time, the finances to build in a day off from the parks, absolutely do that. Let your body recharge a little bit. It will help you for the back half of your trip. Now, if you can't do that, and I'll give you a prime example. Our last trip 2 months ago, it was my parents, it was my son and my daughter-in-law, it was our 20-month-old grandson, it was my wife and I, it was my 19-year-old son. We flew down on a Thursday, we flew home on a Tuesday. We had 4 park days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we were on the go each day. We planned our trip park days based on walking. We did Magic Kingdom for our very first day. For me personally, that's just the park you've got to kick off your trip. The castle, it's synonymous with Disney, and so we always hit Magic Kingdom our very first day. We did Epcot our second day because of the extensive amount of walking that you typically do at Epcot. Magic Kingdom and Epcot, you will do probably your most walking, usually. We then did Hollywood Studios for day three, and we wrapped up our 4 park days at the Animal Kingdom on day four. Now, for me personally, if I could get away with it, I'd have 5 park days and I'd do Magic Kingdom on the front and the back half. But in this case, with only 4 park days, it made a lot of sense for us to end the trip at Animal Kingdom. The park isn't open as long; it usually closes by 6 or 7 in the evening, so you know you're going to be done with your park day walking earlier. There are fewer attractions there, and based on the number of attractions slash rides compared to the number of shows, you have almost an equal opportunity of sitting down and resting as you do standing, walking, standing, walking, like you do the other parts. So for us, we when we were freshest physically, day one and day two, we hit the longer walking, longer park hour days, and then we backed off with the second and third and fourth park days. So that's the physical part. And unless you're a regular physical runner, walker, jogger, exercising all of the time, if you're like me and you don't, even with the 6 to 8 weeks, you're still going to feel it. Your legs will be a little tired. Mine were not bad. Your feet will still be sore. Mine were. I still had some blisters that tried to form, and I addressed those. My lower back hurt at different times throughout the trip. So I guess my point is don't fool yourself to think that you'll be pain free if you're somebody like me who doesn't exercise on a regular basis. If you do, you should be fine and dandy. I'm always amazed, somewhat impressed. I don't know if I'd say jealous, but of the people that are out for an early morning jog through the Disney properties before their park day. I need to save every ounce of energy I can until I get to the park, so I certainly can't be jogging beforehand. The next area of um, preparation and training and conditioning is hydration. I think this one, while we talk about it often, I know I do, I still think we um, don't take this into account the level that we should. Look, I live in the Midwest. As a matter of fact, today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, we're expecting heat index values of 110 to 115 degrees, maybe as high as 118 tomorrow. So it's incredibly hot. However, 2 days after that, it's going to be in the 80s and lower humidity. You get to Florida, and that level of humidity and heat, depending upon what time of the year you come, is just different, period. We were there at the end of May, beginning of June. It was in the upper 80s, low 90s for highs. So not horrible, but the humidity is nonstop and it's in your face from the point in time that they open the airplane door. Before you even stand up out of your seat, you can just feel that humidity flowing through the cabin of the airplane. So it's incredibly important to hydrate. And in doing that, don't wait until you get there on your first day and you feel like you're thirsty and you're sweating profusely because you're going to be chasing hydration at that point and going to be very dangerous. I've had clients that unfortunately the heat got to them and they ended up spending time at the hospital getting hydrated. And that's not how any of us want to spend our vacations. So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. 2 or 3 days prior. And now I'll say this, if you're doing my walking, you should be hydrating through that 6 to 8 week period, and this should not be a problem whatsoever. But if you haven't been hydrating to this level during those 6 to 8 weeks of exercise, you need to at least 2, 3 days prior to arrival. You got to start, and you got to start increasing your water intake every single day. And you need to do so more than you normally would. For men, that's 150 or more ounces of water per day. For women, it's 100 or more ounces of water per day. Now, I'm guilty of this, so this is why I'm pointing this out. The last handful of trips, I know I've been really good about hydrating 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time. My wife has been really good about it. While I mentioned it to my parents, and I'm sure they were, um, remember your kids. Yes, kids go out and play all the time and they're used to heat during the summertime on summer vacation, but don't forget about them. Ensure that they are starting to drink water ahead of time and staying engaged with that through the trip. You should also make a habit of drinking 1 glass or more of water every morning when you wake up. That helps kickstart your body, energy, the hydration, and it's a good way to just keep the momentum going on a daily basis of drinking that water. Bring a refillable mug with you if you can. Um, you can do Yetis or those types, Stanleys, whatever. We went on Amazon and bought collapsible drink mugs. They're about probably 8 to 10 inches tall, but they collapse down to about 4 or 5 inches when they're not in use. It makes it smaller, less clunky to carry around. It's incredibly lightweight when you're not utilizing it. We brought those, and every hour to hour and a half, we were hitting one of the quick service locations within any of the four parks and getting free ice water. I'm not going to debate whether Disney water tastes good or bad. I know there are a lot of opinions about that. I'm going to just tell you for me personally, I don't like to drink water. It's so bland that I don't like doing it. So I brought drink packets with me. They could have been lemonade flavored, strawberry flavored, watermelon flavored, all variety of them. We also bought some of the special electrolyte rehydration packets. We do at least one of those throughout the day, maybe two. And then with the other drinks, I would do the lemonade or strawberry or watermelon or whatever the flavor was. So I brought those. So I would get 2 because they're small, 2 cups of ice water, put those into my refillable mug, pour my drink packet in, screw the cap on, shake it up, and I was good to go for 5, 10 minutes of drinking water. Did that every hour, hour and a half. But by all means, take advantage of the free ice water. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of money buying a bottle of water that costs you $5, $6 down there. I think it's close to $5. I mentioned this replenishing your electrolytes in your water is also a good thing to do at least once throughout the day. Now, this last one isn't necessarily hydration related, but it will help extend the hydration in you, and that is to take advantage of shade when you can, and absolutely, by all means, take advantage of the indoor attractions with air conditioning. It gives your body a break from the heat and humidity and the sun. It also gives your legs a rest while you're sitting down watching the show. So that's about hydration. So we've covered physical, we've covered hydration. This next one, I'm calling it psychological. And I don't know if that's the right term, but that's what I'm going to roll with here, psychological. First off, depending on where you're coming from, whether it's in the United States or if it's outside the United States, it's likely that you're going to be changing time zones, whether it's a 1 hour time zone change like me, or 2 hours, 3 hours, or if you're coming from the United Kingdom or Australia or Asia, it can be several hour time zone change. That's going to impact you. So keep that in mind. If you are normally an early riser at home, you'll probably be okay for things like rope drop. I'm an early riser. I'm an early bird. I get up 5 a.m. I'm at work to, by 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. So rope dropping to me is nothing. But I also like to be in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So staying up late for park close can be hard. You also have to adjust the fact that you might not eat your breakfast, lunch, or dinner at a time that you're normally accustomed to. So for me, I live in the Midwest, so it's a 1 hour time zone change. Well, if we're going to be on our mode of transportation at about 7 a.m. to get to the park for 8 o'clock or 8:30 rope drop, that means we're probably eating breakfast closer to 6 or 6:30 in the morning, Florida time, which means 5 or 5:30 in the morning, local time for me where I live. We don't eat breakfast at 5 a.m. usually, so keep that in mind. With lunch and dinner inside the park, the traditional lunchtime, say between 11 and call it close to 1, and traditional dinner time from about 4:30 to 6:30, the restaurants are the busiest. So waiting in line to order or waiting in line for your mobile order, doing the scavenger hunt to find a table to sit down can be hard. So you might have to eat your dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or not eat until 7 o'clock at night. So your body will, the psychological part of your body and your brain working through that will be challenged and tackled. You also have to keep in mind the impact of the schedule that you're trying to go through in your park day with your kids. Depending upon their age, kids struggle with change. If their body is used to getting in bed by 8, 8:30 at night every night and being asleep, and you keep them until park close at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to take a toll on them. Maybe not on day one, but you'll start to see it day two, day three, day four, and so forth. So all of those things can really impact you. I got two more areas to cover here. The first one is clothing. This ties in, frankly, to your overall health when it comes to being in the parks. Make sure you're wearing something that's breathable. Um, Denim jeans are not breathable. Heavy cotton shirts are not breathable. So make sure it's lightweight. I'm wearing kind of like that lightweight, sweat wicking type material, dry fit material that breathes really well. Good stuff to do. When it's going to be cooler at Disney, so you're going to be there, say December and January in particular. Maybe you can add November and February, at least for the evenings. Um, don't put denim jeans on. Don't put a heavy sweatshirt on, but dress in layers. Still lighter clothing, but layers that you can peel off easily. And not just peel off easily, but then carry around. Remember that 3, 4 pound bag on my shoulder that's got things like an extra shirt and sunscreen and my water bottle and batteries for my phone and an umbrella and poncho, and I can keep going here. I don't want to put in a 3 pound sweatshirt or two heavy layers of stuff. So lightweight layers is a great way to go. This next one might be almost as important as anything I've covered so far, and that is shoes. Make sure you're wearing comfortable shoes. I see this on social media all the time. People will ask, what kind of shoe did you wear? What kind of shoe did you wear? What do you find that works for you? Everybody's foot is different. So while I enjoy the read on those, and I might hear about a brand that I didn't know about and it might pique my interest, that's as far as I go with that. I have to go with what's comfortable. For me, Nikes, while I enjoy wearing them, they're more narrow. So being on them or in them all day, 10, 12 hours a day, walking 10 or 12 miles a day, is something that my feet just can't do. So find a brand that your foot does really well with and stick with that. Please do not bring brand new shoes, no matter what kind they are, to Disney and break them in down there. You will regret it severely. I'll never forget this one of our trips a few years ago. I brought a pair of shoes that were probably 2 years old, so they were incredibly broken in. I still had significant blisters from the amount of walking that my feet went through. So keep that in mind, but break your shoes in very well before you get there. Bring more than one pair of shoes for two main reasons. The first one is, and I think most people think of this, is your shoes may get wet. It rains in Florida. You might ride one of the water rides. Your shoes will get wet, and you don't want to walk around the next 2 or 3 days with wet shoes. So, a second pair of shoes for that standpoint is valuable. To me, I look at it as bring a second pair of shoes that maybe it's a different brand or a different style. I'm a tennis shoe guy, so I bring two pairs of tennis shoes. But if you're a multi shoe type of person, bring a pair of tennis shoes and bring your flip flops or your sandals or your Crocs or whatever it may be. That allows day one shoe that rubs certain spots on your foot to be exchanged with day two shoe that rubs in a different place. And then day one's rubbing kind of gets a break. Prepare for blisters. You're going to get them. Like I said, I wore 2 year old shoes and still got blisters. I'd never heard of this until the day my blisters became so severe. It's called moleskin. It's almost like felt with a sticky backing. Cut it to the size you need, pull the backing off, stick it right to where your foot is being rubbed. Try to get to it before a blister forms, and you'll have that buffer protection. It's a lifesaver. I mentioned the backpacks and your training of your backpacks. That's just as important as the type of shoe that you wear. Make sure that the backpack has comfortable straps. I learned this the hard way. My first couple times of actually having a backpack or a bag on me, I brought a cinch bag and the cords were rope. It was like day two, day three, and I just remember this incredible pain here, like almost like I was sunburnt type of pain. But I'd wore short sleeve shirts, so I knew I wasn't sunburnt, and I couldn't figure it out. It was the rubbing of cinch bag cords on my shoulder. So finding something with comfortable straps is important. Finding something that allows your bag to be organized is important. You don't look for something in your bag that you're going to need an hour later. You're looking for something in your bag that you need right then and right now, with what feels like 10,000 people standing behind you trying to get by you or in line with you or whatever it is. And so finding a bag that you can have things organized that you know when I this zipper X, Y, and Z are in it, and I can grab it and pull it out. Make sure that you have room for essentials in that bag for sure, with a little breathing room. That breathing room might be taken up with those layers in the winter months. It might be taken up with merchandise that you buy throughout the day. I know for me, if I can fit it in this one bag and have this one bag that I'm managing, A, it's only one bag I'm managing. B, it's coming with me on every ride. I'm not leaving stuff in a stroller that could possibly get stolen. And I'm not having to keep track of multiple bags. So it's just easier for me doing it that way. All right, this last one is kind of what I'm going to call mental health. I guess you can maybe call it psychological, like I did before, time zone change and eating times and that sort of thing. But we'll call this all mental here. And it is more mental preparation, I guess. Set realistic expectations. If you go to Disney and you assume you're going to ride every ride, see every show, do every attraction, unless you're there for 2 weeks, you're going to be disappointed. And the last thing you want to do is to spend the money you spend, be there for 4 days or 6 days or 8 days, and come home feeling deflated because you didn't get to do X, Y, Z, one, two, three. Set realistic expectations and know that you won't be able to do it all. So, with that in mind, we've been dozens of times, and I still do this to this day. Make a list. Each person in your family who's going should make this list. And with your kids, you can sit down with them and work with them on this. But identify your must do attractions or rides. Maybe it's 2 or 3 things in each park for each one of you. Depending on how many are in your party, that could be 8 things total, 12 things total, whatever. Then have your list of would really like to do, your list of, if we get to do it, we get to do it. And then for us, the list of we have no desire to do it. I'll be straight up. Mission Space at Epcot is one of those, have no desire to do it. So it helps us then build our priorities in. Most people, your must do's are also going to be the most popular rides and attractions. So doing rope drop might benefit you to knock some of those off. Understanding that if your most popular must do, I'll use this as an example, is Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios, you have 3 factors to consider. One, it's one of the most popular rides, and so therefore the lines will be longer. Secondly, it, like all rides, can go down for maintenance at different intervals of time throughout the day, so you might be impacted there. And the third one is it's an outdoor attraction. There's lightning in the area. If it's storming, the ride will be shut down. So those rides that are high priority for everybody in your party that fit those categories, you should really try to ride as early in the day as possible if it works out, so that you can try to avoid the combination of those things, the 3 things I just mentioned. This one I think is so important, and I know I'm guilty of it. I've been guilty of it before years ago when my youngest is 19 now, so I'm going back 10, 15 years. Guilty of it. I'm better about it today, but don't make your kids adapt to you. You need to adapt to them. What the heck does that mean? Well, the example I used earlier, if your child is used to being in bed at 8 p.m., it's unrealistic to expect them to be out at the park until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, meaning you're not getting back to your room until midnight, and then getting them back up at 6 a.m. the next morning to start it all over again. If they need a midday nap, don't force them to trudge through and bypass that nap. All of these things are going to impact them physically and mentally, and it's eventually going to catch up with you, and that will impact your ability to do your must do's, want to do's, and so forth. So go at their pace, don't make them go at yours. You should try to plan breaks. Now, we did that 4 park days in a row. We did not have a resort day. So that type of break didn't happen, but that's one of the types you should consider depending on how long you're there for, having a resort day. Take a break by being in the shade. That could be walking through the shops and the air conditioning, which air conditioning is the next thing on my list. It can be finding a bench underneath a tree. It could be a show or anything like that where you can just get out of the intense heat of the sun for 5 minutes, 15 minutes. Air conditioning is your best friend, especially in the summer months at Disney World. Make sure that even if the shows or some of the shows aren't your must do or really want to do, they are probably going to have to be on that we need to do list. And that was one I didn't mention earlier, but a need to do list, so that you can mix in 15-minute air conditioning break every 2 hours or something like that. And that ties into my last break, quote unquote break, is the shows. Sitting down to watch the Laugh Floor in Magic Kingdom, or Mickey's PhilharMagic, or the Country Bears, or Tiki Room, Lion King, or Nemo at Animal Kingdom, any of those shows are a great break. Physically, your legs are getting a rest, your feet are getting a rest, your back is getting a rest, you're getting to recharge, your family's getting to recharge, It just helps give you that boost of energy you need to push through the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Last two things on my mental health list, and then we'll wrap this up for the day. Be open to spontaneity and be flexible. You can have the best laid plans, and something completely out of your control could happen that just totally ruins your plans. So, being flexible and spontaneous is incredibly important. Spontaneous. Last time we were there with my 20-month-old grandson, and we were getting ready to head to ride something, and out walked a couple of characters and walked right by him, and he was like over the moon with characters. So we scrapped what we did and went and got line and saw those characters, and it boosted him and his energy level, and it just made for a greater experience. Being flexible. There are so many different things that can happen out of your control. Some of them you can probably imagine. Rides go down for maintenance issues, or they're closed for refurbishment and changes your plans. A thunderstorm hits, and so outdoor attractions are closed for a period of time. All of those things you can probably imagine could happen, and you try to plan for them. If I flash back to about 2 years ago, almost half of the Magic Kingdom was closed down. Liberty Square, Frontierland, over towards Adventureland was all closed down for multiple hours because they found a black bear, got into the park, and was on Tom Sawyer's Island. So, for the safety of the guests, safety of the employees, and the safety of the bear, they closed that whole part of that park down for multiple hours. There's no way anybody on the planet could have thought and planned for that. But if you have the mindset of being flexible and changing on a dime, doing different things because something comes up, it will help your mental outlook on the trip, and your overall experience will be much better. And the last thing, depending upon the age of your kids, let your kids be involved in some of the planning. It gives them a sense of pride and ownership, and something to look forward to. It also gives them the ability to see what they could possibly see and do there. Um, it just helps the overall process. If they've been involved with some of the planning and they know that we're getting ready to go do something that was on their list and part of their planning, it makes it easier for them to then pivot and do something that was on your list of planning. So that helps the overall experience. Now, if the trip is a surprise for your child, obviously having them plan is not going to happen. But once you get there and the surprise part is done, you can have them engage in some of that planning. So I think that's a wrap today on the training for Disney World. It's more than just the physical, it's the mental, it's the preparation, it's packing, clothing, it's hydration, mental health, the psychological, all of those things. If you plan for them ahead of time, it will help the experience once you get there. All right, so that's a wrap for episode 51. Again, you can find me here on YouTube and on Spotify on Monday mornings, live podcast on Tuesday evenings on this YouTube channel. You can find me personally on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Mike_Disney Travel, or on Facebook at Mike's Magical World Vacations. Love to work with you and your family on an upcoming trip. Always love to answer questions and help with anybody who's getting ready to go to Disney. That's it for today. I will look forward to seeing you again next time. Hope you have a great day today, better day tomorrow, and remember, it's a great day to be alive. Goodbye, everybody.